Okay, I just have to commit to it. If the cat gets annoying, she's gonna be meowing through the entire tutorial. And I can't keep resetting every time she interrupts me. Although she sticks her face right in front of the microphone. Okay, frustrations aside. Let's go to 8-4. I'm going to show you some small strats. These are for beginners and intermediate level players. First thing I want to address though is on the opening, when you finish 8-3, you're going to see a title card that says, you know, your number of lives, a picture of Bowser. It'll say level 8-4. You can mash on that screen to advance to the level more quickly. Or you can perfectly time. Any of the jump buttons, and I believe start will do the trick. I don't believe the run buttons advance to the level through the title card any faster. But I may be mistaken. But as soon as that starts fading out, well, first I'll show you what a lot of beginners do, and it's fine. You can do this. You can get a pretty decent time, but right about now, the strat I'm going to show you, you'd be entering the pipe right about now. So I'm going to show you not the most optimal way to get that first jump, but a much faster way than going that bottom route. I'm also going to show you where a poison mushroom is right here, because you never want to hit that block. If you hit it, you're either going to die to the poison mushroom, die to the fire bar trying to avoid the poison mushroom, or just have to wait because you'll be stuck here with no speed, and you're going to have to time the Podobo and the fire bar. The Podobo and fire bar are completely neutral if you don't slow down at all. In all stars. In FDS, the Podobo can be very, very troublesome. But in FDS, it's a non-issue. But yeah, I'll show you the first jump. What I'm doing, I mash on this screen, and as soon as it fades out, I'm holding run, jump, and right. And when you land on the, and then you'll land on like the top step, and run off and fall onto the bottom step. There's a faster way you can do it by not buffering the inputs before the level loads. Much more difficult. Much more difficult. A little faster, but much more difficult. I highly recommend for beginners and intermediates buffering that jump. Get used to jumping off that bottom stair at full speed. You can also, what I'll do oftentimes, and I don't know if it's psychological, or if it really gives you a bigger window, but I will sometimes release the D-pad as I'm falling down to that bottom step, and then re-hold right after I've jumped off of it. It probably gives you a couple more frames. It might just be a placebo effect, and I think it is. If it gives you more frames, it's slower by more frames. But like my numbers releasing the D-pad before that jump, consistency-wise, are much higher than not releasing the D-pad there. So that's an option. If you find yourself not being able to jump off that bottom stair because you just don't stand on it long enough, that's an option. Just make sure you release A before you land on it, and press it when you're on it. And it's a full jump and you're fine. And then don't slow down for this Podobo. You can get under it every time on All Stars. So you're gonna want to jump. There's gonna be a one stair rock, block, brick. I guess it's a block. With Mario, you're gonna want to jump on that and up onto the block that the fire bar sits on, and then the strat I'm going to show you, you're going to bounce off the Koopa. There are other ways to do that room a little bit faster. That section a little bit faster. They're very advanced strats. They're very difficult. And if you're at the point where that's where you want to save time, at least the first room of this tutorial is not for you. But now I'll try to show off what I was trying to explain. That. Just before I hit the coop, I tap left, and just before there's that pipe, and it has those two blocks above it. So I tap left before I hit the Koopa, and after I bounce off of them, I kind of start holding right again to try to get the right angle to get in there without bonking on those blocks. And if I see that I'm not going to bonk on those blocks, I start buffering the down input so I enter the pipe right away. If I do bonk on the blocks, I'm going to have to hold right again after bonking to get in the correct position on the pipe to go down. And it's a little slower. Bonking is always slower. At least as a general rule of thumb. There's some instances where it can help you. But usually bonking, even if it's done to make things easier, it never makes things faster. So as I'm coming out of this pipe, I'm going to buffer down, right, and swim. And I'm going to hold them. And then I'm going to tap swim one more time. I'm gonna tap swim before I land, and then tap swim one more time to position myself, hopefully in a spot where I'll miss the fire bar, the blooper, and the wall. Usually, if you mess it up, you'll bonk on the wall and you'll lose time, but you'll be fine. But this is the best route to go, in my opinion, and a lot of people do the same thing. So it's not a strat just relegated to what I do, but yeah, I'm gonna buffer these inputs so we swims right away. Down plus right, and swim, and then tap, and then mash, and then get here. And this fire bar is not as dangerous as it looks. There are a couple different ways you can do that. There are a couple different ways you can exit that water room. You saw the one where I went to the edge and just did one tap swim. That works good. You can also do one where you bonk off the ceiling and get really, really low, and then do another tap swim and position yourself. Basically, you want to try to get into the pipe without bonking on anything, or touching the ground for too many frames. This room is interesting. It'll give you problems at first, but once you figure out which strat you like to use, you'll get pretty consistent at it. First I'll show you that there's a mushroom here. I don't want it. It makes this room and the next room more difficult in my opinion, but it's there if you need it. The biggest thing will be timing. I like to, when I exit this pipe, I like to wait here. Other people will like do a stutter thing like up here somewhere. Basically, you want to time it so that that plant is down when you're getting there. And he'll come up. He won't come up if you're above him. But if you're that far away, he will. And it's the same on both sides. But the idea is to get comfortable with the time. One strat that people will use, I don't really like it, but they'll try to do something like this. I'm not even, this, you can tell this is not my strat, and get in there. So people that use it are very good at it. If you're ever going to go for a really good time and use fire strats, like in an any percent or warpless, any percent D4 or warpless, you'll want to be able to do that. The strat I'm going to show you, the strat that I prefer, involves bouncing off the wall. And in this case, it's the edge of the screen. But the edge of the screen will behave like a wall, so I'm just going to keep calling it a wall. I might end up actually using the terms interchangeably, but just know that I'm referring to the same thing in both cases. So what you want to do is oh, I should probably pause. I'm going to run out of in-game time. I'm going to time it so that I go at a certain point in the piranha plant cycle, which is going to be tough because I go more by feel now, based on how long I've been in the room, but I should be able to get the timing on the piranha plant right. I'm going to run to the edge. I call this the G room because in the FDS version the pipes are gray, so that that whole area on the right half of the screen looks like a capital G. I'm going to run off the top of the G and do a full jump. Make sure it's a full jump. And then when I hit the wall, edge of the screen, then I'm going to start holding left. If I hit left early, I'm just going to drop straight down and plummet to my death. If I don't full jump, I might fall short of the pipe. So you want to make sure... there's no reason to release the jump button at all once you've started that jump while you're in this room. So just hold the jump button way longer than you have to. You won't have that problem. Just make sure your momentum stops. Make sure you hit the wall before holding left, and you should be fine. Then it's just a matter of working out the timing on the piranha plant. So I enter this room and I wait for the plant to, let's see, something like that, and then I'd go like now, do that. And then this room, if you want to, you can just hold right, run, and jump. You won't have much speed. I like to have speed when I clear that jump so that when certain sprites load, they're more likely to be consistent because I'm going at the same speed as the game is loading them. But you can do whatever you want. Just don't, just make sure you clear the pit. I like to, as the animation of Mario coming out of this pipe happens, I like to hold left but not run. And just before he gets to the edge of the pipe, hold run and right, and then jump off the right edge of the pipe, so you can get more speed. Just don't run too far. Just don't. I don't like running because sometimes you'll go too far and the piranha plant will come up and you'll run right into him and he'll kill you. So I like to walk to the left and then run right and jump. So something like this. And then, okay, this section, I usually full jump over that pipe. It clears you of the blooper. You don't want to do crazy jumps in this area because there's hidden blocks. I was trying to show them to you, but the blooper got me. There's hidden block. There's at least one hidden block with a poison mushroom in there that you just don't want to deal with. So I do that full jump over the pipe and the blooper, and I get a Luigi strat because, sometimes I play as Luigi, and remembering what I'm doing is difficult. Okay, so back to the first room. Should be pretty self-explanatory. You can buffer down before entering that pipe. I might have said that. I don't know. I've tried making this tutorial many times, and I kept getting interrupted by things. Mostly the cat. So I don't remember what I've said this time around. Okay. So I'll just do it and then describe it. Okay, so jump over all that. Okay, that was... I wanted to pause, and then I realized I wasn't going to hit the Koopa. So that section is going to be... Also, I apologize that I don't have save states. That section that I just died on, you want to do there's a bouncing Koopa, then a pipe, then a flying Koopa. Okay. What you want to do is you want to do a full jump. Make sure you're clear of the bouncing Koopa. Do a full jump underneath him and over the pipe. And one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to bounce on the flying Koopa or you're not. If you bounce on the flying Koopa, great. It's easy. Just keep holding run and right. You'll land on a one-tile wide ledge. And I don't think I can do anything from here, but I'll try. Okay. You'll land on a one-tile wide ledge, and you can just run across and then jump when you have to jump over lava to get to the fire bar. If you don't bounce on the Koopa, you're going to land on the elevator. You're going to have to do a small jump from the elevator to the one-tile wide gap, and then run across the one-tile wide lava gap, or the one-tile wide platform, and then run across the one-tile wide lava gap. If you don't run across that lava gap, if you jump over it, or if you're in the air too late at that point, or too early at that point. I guess it's the middle of the level, so there's an early and a late. But if you're not on the ground when the trigger checks to see if you accomplish the maze correctly, the room is going to loop. And if the room loops, A, you're going to lose time, but B, the second time through the room, things are going to spawn in very awkward positions, and it can be it has the potential to be a disaster. But yeah, I'll try to get there and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, that was a little slow because I made some mistakes. You can still get in the pipe pretty quickly, but my bounce off the Koopa was not very good there, so I had to walk on the pipe a little bit before entering it. But I'll usually buffer down there and enter the pipe as soon as possible. Okay, so here we go. Okay, landed on the Koopa. Bounced off the Koopa. You saw where I landed. That tile on the very edge of the screen on the bottom left. Landed on that. Ran across the lava gap right next to it. I got the ding. Cleared the maze correctly. That's fine. Like I said, the other thing that can happen is you won't bounce on the Koopa, and you land on the elevator, and you'll still have to do a small jump onto that block that's straddling the edge of the screen right now, and then run across the lava gap. You don't want to jump at that lava gap for fear of the room looping. Also, I should mention it's favorable to bounce off the flying Koopa because there's less work is needed to succeed at the maze. Do not adjust your jump to try to hit the Koopa. Just full jump, and if you hit them, great. If not, be prepared to jump off the elevator. If you adjust your jump mid-air to try to hit the Koopa, you're going to end up in the lava. You will not land safely if you do that. So I can't emphasize enough. Just make sure it's a full jump. If you hit the Koopa, great. If not, don't adjust to try to hit the Koopa. Just be prepared to jump off the elevator. And you don't want to do too big of a jump off the elevator. Because like I said, if your height is wrong when you cross the trigger, the maze will loop. Okay, one of the most painful jumps for a beginner is coming up right here, and I'm going to show you the most consistent strat first. It's a little slow, it involves some waiting, but it has a visual cue on where to stand and wait, and it has a visual cue on when to run and go. If you notice the tiles on the floor, on the pattern on the floor tile is pretty neat. It's got some big some 45-degree angled patterns on it, and for the consistent strat, I do this. I wait right here. The third big triangle, or you could call them mountains or hills or pyramids or whatever. The third big one, or the third one, it almost looks like it's a foreground, and there's like big mountains near, and in between the mountain valleys are smaller ones in the background. You could also call the smaller ones diamonds because they're squares tilted at 45 degrees. But I stand on this third big one on top of the point of this third big one, and I'm looking at the green Koopa. The moment the green Koopa turns around, that's your cue to go. And you run from this third triangle to to get speed, and you jump, and you'll land on the green Koopa. The red Koopa won't kill you. It's very consistent. Watch me die on it now because I've said it was consistent 3 times in a row. But this is a great strat. If you're not trying to shave time in this room, do this strat. There's another way. I'll also show you a faster way to do this strat that I'm way less consistent at, which means because I don't have save states for this tutorial, you're going to see me playing the first couple of rooms of this a lot, trying to get that down. But there are like 5 different outcomes the other strat can do. But I'll show you this one right now. Okay, so as soon as he turns, I go, jump, you're in there. Okay. And then, okay, I'm going to show you more. I'm going to actually go, I think I have time to... This is just looping, loops the level, takes you back to the first one. Wonderful, isn't it? But we get the cool Bowser music. But I want to keep showing you that the Koopas at the end of that hall. Okay. I might have already mentioned it. The hitboxes on the fire bars are pretty lenient underwater. Well, they're pretty much the same everywhere, but specifically the ones in this level. Well, that was something interesting that happened there. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I can't talk at the start of this level. This jump actually takes a lot of focus. But the fire bars underwater, they can go into your mustache and your hat and you'll be fine. And all of them are pretty much the same. It's just the way a lot of these line up that you can be a little aggressive with them. Get a feel for it. I don't recommend doing it if you're not comfortable with it. But it doesn't take long to learn what you're doing and get a feel for it. Yeah, that's beautiful when that happens. Land on the Koopa. Nice. Okay, a slightly faster strat. I'm gonna hesitate briefly and then go. I'm not gonna like wait for the green Koopa to turn around. The upsides, it's faster. The downsides, there are a lot of ways to mess it up. If you don't wait long enough, you're gonna die to the red Koopa. You'll still be jumping upward and you'll touch his hitbox, and that's a no-no for Mario. If you stall, you're better off erring slightly on the stalling too long side than on the not enough side. Because 2 things can happen with the stall. You can bounce off the green Koopa. 2 good things can happen. You can bounce off the green Koopa and just skyrocket, bounce off the ceiling, and just barely clear the last lava gap. Or you can actually make it all the way across without hitting either of the Koopas. The negative side of bouncing off the green Koopa is if you time it wrong, you're gonna fall in the gap between the pillar and the safe ground. And the downside to missing the green Koopa is if you jump too early, you're not gonna make it across the gap. But we'll see what happens here. I think I've described the 5 scenarios that are most likely to happen here. We'll see which one I get. As, like I said, it takes a while to get consistent at this, and I haven't done this in a while. Okay, so that was one of the possible outcomes. One of the good ones, one of the 2 good ones. Let's see if we can recreate. I wish there was a way just to reload that. Like, I don't even know if this is faster than restarting the But man, you get the awesome ones. When you ever hear Bowser music underwater, oh, there, okay. So that's what happens if you don't bounce off that Koopa. Okay, we're gonna try this again. See what happens this time. Okay, same thing. But just trust me, it's possible to bounce off the green Koopa as well. Oh, this room. I do want to describe this room. Okay. You already saw that pipe takes... The pipe in front of me takes you back to the first room. You're gonna come out of this pipe, and I usually hold run and right and jump as soon as I land. If you hit jump too early, you're just going to run right into this staircase like I did earlier. If you jump too late, you're going to run into this staircase and then jump and like not have any speed when you get here. You don't want it, that valley, that little pit right in front of me that the prawn plank's in. It's a troll. There are Kaizo blocks above that, so you don't want to go under there under any circumstances. You also don't want to take this room as slowly as I have, because Bowser's already shooting fire. But basically, wait for him to. If he's jumping forward, just run under him. If he's jumping backwards, stand under the hammer arc. Kind of close to Bowser, but be aware he might inch forward. And when he jumps the second time, go. You don't want to wait for him to jump a third time. You don't want to wait for him to jump a third time, because after the second jump, he starts breathing fire, and if you're under the hammer arc and close to him, the fireball can just appear inside of your face. And that's not good. So yeah, I mean, you can also jump through the hammers. That's more of a risky strat. The science behind it is interesting. Like, not all of the hammers always have hitboxes, although on All-Stars it seems like more of them do, but I still don't think all of them do. But I mean, if you're jumping through hammers, it's because you need a really amazing time, in which case I would assume you'd be using fire strats at that point. And you'd be resetting if you were small here anyway. Or if, like, you had a run that, is really, really good and it can still PB, but it needs to not wait on Bowser to PB, then I guess jump through the hammers if he's not going forward. Then here, just make sure you don't bonk on anything. I like to jump from about here and land on that elevator briefly, and then full jump over the gap, and then jump over the beetle, and then it's a small detail, but I'll bring it up. There's a way you can jump here so you don't bonk on the wall in front of you. I'll probably mess it up because doing it consistently, I still mess it up from time to time if I'm not coming from a pause where I can't see where I'm coming from, but it's probably hopeless here. But there's a way you can jump, bounce off the ceiling, and you'll miss that wall in front of you, and you don't bonk on it. It always feels good to pull that off. Which I didn't. I jumped way too late. And then there's this Bowser as well. Same thing. If he's forward, just run under him, get the axe. If he's backwards, I recommend waiting on the hammers. I didn't show you a mushroom, though. There's another mushroom after the hallway Koopas. That a lot of you might really like to invest in. Like I said, I showed you the mushroom in this room, but there's also a mushroom. There's another mushroom. So if you still have this mushroom, you can actually get fire there in the hallway Koopa room. You have to be able to keep it, but it's possible. At the end of this room, there's a mushroom, and if you grab it for insurance or for whatever, oh my gosh, bounce physics. I would recommend trying to hold it for the first Bowser and deboosting the second Bowser, but maybe you can get a read on him like he goes forward. Nice. Okay. Like sometimes if he goes backwards, you might feel like, okay, I'm going too low. That's just gotta be a duck jump there. Okay, he's going backwards, so you can deboost there. Or whatever. But that's basically everything I had to say about this level. A half-an-hour tutorial. Most of that was just me trying to get back to the parts that I wanted to explain over and over again. Feel free to ask me questions, because there might have been things I didn't cover. Like there are more advanced strats that you can do some of these sections faster on, but you're gonna really sacrifice success rate on those. And like I said, if you're the kind of player that's going for those already, or planning on going for them really soon, there are better resources out there. But there's not much out there for like those intermediate level strats. A lot of the beginner strats I see will do stuff like this that just lose way too much time. Do that, and then they'll do this, and then they'll do this, and then they'll wait here for, you know, a couple of cycles, and then they'll do this, and then they're like, oops, and like, so don't play this level like that. If you're gonna call yourself a speedrunner, if you're just gonna, you know, play a casual run, play the way you want to. I mean, play the way you want to anyways, but just don't. Just know that, like, if you're gonna play 8-4, the first room of 8-4 like that, that one level alone, you could save 20 or 30 seconds on. Without investing a whole lot. Like the first jump is probably the trick. The first jump that I showed you and the hallway Koopas are, after like a day of practice, those will be the two things that you'll probably be the least consistent at. The rest of it will just, you'll do it pretty naturally, pretty consistently, without much problem. I do recommend doing the faster strat for the opening room, just because it's real easy to practice. Like, I mean, it's all stars. Even if you don't have save states, I mean, you can just go. Just go here, and bam, you can try it. Okay, 1 for 1. You can kill yourself, and guess what? Don't have save states, doesn't matter. You can try that first jump again, and you can get really consistent at it. And you start learning what you do wrong, and like I said, it saves a few seconds. But it's something that's 100% in your control, and something that you can totally get consistent at, and like I said, it's one of the harder things that I probably showed you. But I feel like it's definitely worth it. I don't know. Like I said, if you have questions, ask, because I probably overlooked something. Like, I made an outline to try to follow, and I think I got everything. But, by all means, if you think I missed something, feel free to ask. Because it's a very, very dynamic level, and a lot is going on. I should probably beat it at least once, huh? Like, maybe there's something I didn't explain well. So yeah, definitely, questions are welcome, for sure. Too late again. It's a tricky one to get the right feel. Okay, there you go. 272 with 2 backwards Bowsers. That's not too bad. I think I could have played every room a little bit faster with the strats I showed you. In fact, I know I could have done every room a little bit faster, but that's not a bad time with two backwards Bowsers and waiting on them. That's not a bad time. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to some of you, or most of you, or at least one of you. I plan on making, well, depending on the reception I get from some of these, I plan on making more. But yeah, I mean, so far I've made a couple just for individual people for certain levels. I won't be doing any fire strat tutorials, and I probably won't be doing any advanced strat tutorials. Um, but yeah, if you want to learn a level small on either version of the game with either character, I can show you some strats that probably aren't the most optimal, but the consistency rate is something that will probably be to your liking. But yeah, All-Stars or the FDS version, Mario or Luigi. I'm in the beginner and intermediate strats, no fire. I think I'll have fun making some of these. 8-4 is it's such a dynamic level, but I feel like it's, I don't know, if you have trouble with the part that I didn't cover very well, just let me know. Just let me know. Okay, 35 minutes. I'm gonna stop now. Once again, thanks everybody for watching.